Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast, episode 191. Are Alonso and Bregman this year's Snell and Montgomery? I'm Nick, and we have Harrison tonight. How are we doing, Harrison?
Fantastic. What a headline to kick it off, Nick.
Yeah, I had to come up with something catchy,
I
but
love it. I love it. How we doing?
doing pretty good. Before we get going, we did just have our first episode of our Rounding Third Boston. That came out awesome. It was a lot of fun to just talk Red Sox, but we are here to talk league-wide news. But before we get going, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can follow on Instagram, Rumble, TikTok. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. So whatever platform you're on, you can find us, Rounding Third Baseball Podcast. And as always, we have our affiliate links, Dick's Sporting Goods, MLB Shop, and Lids. You'll find these links on our social media pages where you just click. You can buy products from these companies, and we get a nice little kickback that shows that you support us and that these companies support us along with us supporting them. So please do your shopping for these companies through us, through our link, and it just gives us a nice little kickback so we can keep providing you with the content that we do every week. All right, into the show. Pete Alonso latest again. I mean, it feels like we've been doing this for the last month now.
It's a roller coaster ride with Pete Alonso right now.
Yeah. So, are the Mets the only shot for Alonso at this point?
I mean, from what I've read the last couple of days, it sounds like the Blue Jays have made him the best offer so far. It sounds like 3 years, $75 million was the offer. A lot of people expected him to take it, and they expected him to, and expected him to, and expected him to, and he didn't. And then the thought around baseball was, if he hasn't signed it yet, he's not going to sign it. And so the Blue Jays kind of said, well, we've got to move on. So they're going down other paths now. In the meantime, there was some talk that Pete Alonso was frustrated with Boris for getting in the way of the Mets negotiation, not getting that done. So he's considering firing him. Now he's not going to fire him. He's going to stick with him. But it sounds like at this point, Alonso has no other offers in hand. He just wants to go back to New York. When all is said and done, all he wants to do is be a Met. And it sounds like he's at this point just going to take a lesser offer to go back there. But in the meantime, the Mets have also moved on. So now, like they're now going back to the Mets to be like, "Hey, would you still?" Because we don't really know what's going on. And this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Because in the end, he just wants to go back to the Mets, even though he's not going to get anywhere near the deal he hoped for.
Yeah, I'm here for the drama. Listen, being a school teacher and being in the profession I am now, I am just like surrounded by women all the time, and I just love the drama. Like this is my cup of tea right here. This is like, my agent isn't liked by my employer. My employer doesn't like my agent, doesn't like what they're doing, which in turn doesn't. It's just, I'm here for it. I'm just sitting back with my tea and just listening to all the stories rolling because this is amazing. It sucks. It sucks for Alonso. Like it really does. Like bringing it back, like it's terrible because the free agent markets, like we said, the last few weeks has just been all over the place because I think Soto and Ohtani have the last 2 years have completely just blown the market up and nobody knows where anything is. Like they don't know where their value is because those two demanded so much.
Yeah.
And it's showing.
But at the same time, my counterpoint to that would be, but that's what a good agent does. They figure out what your value is, given the information that they have. So like, and I feel like that is where Pete was frustrated in considering firing him. I feel like that's why Jordan Montgomery fired him. I feel like that's why you've seen other players fire him, is because they don't feel like he's doing that anymore. When we think back over the years, every big free agent was Scott Boris's. Every friggin' big contract was Scott Boras, and he had Juan Soto. So God bless him. He's going to get paid. We don't have to worry about Scott Boras not being able to feed his family. But at the same time, he has consistently missed with those guys that aren't like the A free agent. He missed with Snell. He missed with Montgomery. He got Bellinger a lesser deal. He's got Bregman and Alonso hanging. But that's the job of a good agent, is to figure out what your market value is based on the information that's available and the contracts that are already signed. And obviously, you're only an agent. So if the player says, "Well, I want 3 years, $7 trillion, I won't settle for less," like you can't do anything with that. But
Yeah.
that's where the agent steps in and makes that work. And I think Steve Cohen's feedback is very important to recognize. He didn't like the offering, he didn't like the structures, he didn't like anything about the conversation. That's on Boris.
Agree.
And I think Alonso, that's why Alonso's pissed, because he just wants to go back to the Mets. And I agree. I think I agree with the comment here in the chat. He just wants to be a New York Met. When all is said and done, and he's done the dog and pony show, he's talked to the teams, he's had other offers. When all is said and done, he just wants to go back. And
Yeah.
good for him for realizing that, but it's February 2nd. You should have
Right.
realized back in December, and we're in a different spot. Or last year when they offered you a 7-year deal that you said no to because
Yeah.
Boris promised you a bigger, better deal. And that's also why Pete is pissed at Boris, because he turned down 7 years, 158 to basically have finished his career in New York. So I I feel like, and we put a video out the other day from last show. I feel like Boris has lost touch with the marketplace. I feel like the players don't trust him. I feel like the owners and the GMs are getting tired of him. And yet again this year, he is completely swinging and missing on some really valuable players for really no understandable reason.
Yeah. He does fit in that Mets lineup perfectly. I agree with you 100%. A guy that can hit
Oh, yeah.
40 plus bombs every year, right behind Juan Soto, who's getting on base for him. Pete's going to see some pitches hitting behind Juan Soto.
Yeah, it's the same.
But
The Yankees had Soto and Judge. The Mets would have Soto and Alonso. It's similar.
yeah, yeah, with Frankie Lindor in front of Soto.
Yeah, it doesn't
Crazy.
suck.
No. But you hit the nail right on the head. It's Scott Boras playing these games, and it almost just seems like Boras has been doing this for so long that the owners are just like, dude, just come to us straight with an offer,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like, stop playing this game that you have 6 other offers on the table. Like, all the owners talk,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, you own the Dodgers, I own the Red Sox. Be like, hey, like, I'll call you up and be like, hey, are you offering Pete Alonso anything? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like closed doors. Some of them might be. I mean, Ohtani was probably mostly closed door, but these teams have an idea of what they're going to offer these players league wide, right? And then that's when
Yeah.
they make the decision whether in or not. So, like, Boris coming with something out of left field is just playing a game that the owners are like, we don't need to play this game. We know what he's worth. But
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
and I agree. I agree with this
Yeah,
comment 100%.
totally agree. He's hurting his clients. Actually, he might even be at the point now where he's hurting his clients more than he helps, but at nothing else, he's hurting his clients as much as he helps. And I think you're right, Nick. I think 2 things are true. I think 1, I think the GMs, that's why they have general managers meetings. Those guys get down there and talk
Right.
shop. And I think a lot of these guys know each other, whether they played together, they've been in front offices together, they've been scouts together. Like, they all know each other.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a certain level of talking. I mean, they're probably not sharing the details of what they're offering, but it's like, hey, have you talked to Scott? Are you offering Pete 6 years? Nah, we're not doing that. Not going to tell him what I offered, but I might indicate that, yeah, that's correct. I think the other thing that's true is that GMs can smell crap. Like,
Yeah.
when you come to them and say, well, I got 3 other offers of 6 years, like, I'm sure they go, sure you do, Scott. Next.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of these, I think the games that Boris used to play, I don't think they work anymore. I
No.
think it's a combination of the game has changed, the value structures have changed, the contract structures have changed. And honestly, in a world of social media as prevalent as it is, there's no secrets anymore. Like,
No.
you're not, the advanced metrics are available for public consumption. Like, all the stuff that you used to have that you could use to your advantage, it's all out there. Like, there's no tricks anymore.
No.
And I think a lot of GMs, and we've heard it for years, like, nobody likes dealing with Scott Boras, but you kind of have to.
Right.
And I think now they're looking at it like, you know what? No, we're good. Like, we don't have to anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Scott's at. I think he's worn out his welcome.
He has. And if I'm a free agent going into, negotiations here in the future, I am saying I want to sign before Christmas, because you look at what's happened the last couple of years with Montgomery and Snell, right? They started late, Montgomery had a terrible year. Snell had a semi-slow start as well. And it's happened to players in the past where they've signed late. They've had a late start at spring training. Then they're off at the beginning of the season. Like baseball players are so routinely fine-tuned that, like I've said it before, like I get to the stadium at 1:03 p.m. I have my cleats on at 1:07 p.m. I'm stretching by 1:11 on the field. Like down to the minute, some of these guys are scheduled and routine. You take them out of their off-season routine and say, hey, you're not reporting to spring training till March because you don't have a contract. That throws off your entire season.
Yep.
So for me, like I have to sign before Christmas. And like give me the best deal that you can before Christmas, because I don't want to be dealing with this in February 2nd. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and I think all of that is true. And I do think, and I hate to say it the way I'm going to say it, but there also has to be a point where you have to just accept what your value is.
Right.
And I think that, Pete wants more money, and God love him. It's a free market. If you want $1 trillion a year, you're welcome to ask for it. You're going to be told no, but you can ask for it. But in today's game, with all the young talent floating around and all the opportunity there is for these young guys to come up and take your job and do it for a fraction of the cost, you also have to realize as Pete Alonso that, like, hey, I'm 30, probably my last contract. If I get 158 million or 198 million, is my life really any different? No, it's not. Like, secure the bag, get paid, but don't push too far, because now Pete's in a spot where he turned down 7 years, 158. He's not going to get another 7-year offer. He's not going to see $100 million contract. Unless the Mets cave and throw something big at him, which I can't. Why would they? He's got no other options.
Right.
And now Pete's lost all of his leverage because the Mets know he's got no other options, and it's February 2nd. So like he's going to get even less now.
Yeah.
But like you have to reach a point where, as an agent and as a player, you've got to just say, hey, look, this might be the best we see. Let's lock in your long-term future. If we leave a few bucks on the table, you're still going to be okay. You won't be eating ramen later in life. Like, you're going to make it.
Right. But GMs don't want to play that game. Like, you come to me with an offer at the beginning of December, and you're like, well, I still want to go, test the market. Can I come back? The GM's like, well, we were planning on building around you, buddy. So we can't wait, because there's other pieces that we need now. Like, you're a luxury. Like, we have places in our team that we have to address now. So we're going to do that. And we may or may not have money when you come back to us. So like, there's also that piece too. There's so many moving pieces, but it does ultimately come down to Boris telling him that he can get him top dollar, and he can't. He's overplayed the hand again.
Well, but I would argue maybe Boris already got him top dollar and Pete just won't accept it. And maybe Boris hasn't clearly articulated the fact, like, this really is the best you're going to get. I feel like there's a level of Boris missing the market and overpromising, and Pete saying, look, you promised me this, where is it? I think there's also a level of Pete not accepting reality, and the fact that you're not a 7 years, 158 is a $22 million a year contract until you're 37.
Yeah.
That's probably the best deal you were ever going to see. And honestly, if you get $22 million a year for the next 7, or you get $25 million a year for the next 7, by the time you pay all your taxes, you're only walking away with half of that anyways. Right. What's the difference? I mean, is another $1 million a year going to change your life dramatically over the next 7 years? No, it's not. But what you've done now is you've waited so long that the rosters are full. You went from having, as you can think of the offseason like this funnel. At the early part, you're at the top of the funnel, lots of open spots. As the offseason goes on, that funnel thins. And now you're running out of spots. There's only so many first base spots open, and arguably right now there aren't any. Teams could start the season today, and they're going to have a first baseman, and Pete Alonso could be on the couch, and I don't think anybody would be that hurt by it. And I just feel like Boris either hasn't been clear or Pete's being stubborn. You've already seen the best you're going to get. Sign the damn contract and get to spring training.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, and I'm with you here. It is surprising at this point, especially after the public defacing of Boris with Montgomery last season.
That was bad.
It was bad. I'm surprised that people are still choosing Boris as their agent, but
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a point in time where enough of this has happened where players start to shy away.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't know when
Oh,
that is.
yeah. All right. Alex Bregman latest again. So again, pretty much the same situation as Pete Alonso. Astros talks have stalled. Red Sox and Tigers remain favorites. They're kind of still, and I say favorites in quotes
I know
because
favorites for what?
I mean they might have a 0.004% chance of signing him when the Astros have a 0.001%. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know, but
yeah.
I threw this.
Anybody's guess is as good as ours where he signs at this
Yeah,
point.
I really don't know. But I threw a question in here. Could Bregman come to Boston on a quote unquote Adrian Beltre deal? There's nowhere for him to sign for he's looking for 5 or 6 years. No one's given him 5 or 6 years. Could he go to a team like Boston, like Detroit, for a 1 year deal and then try it again next year when you don't have a Juan Soto or a Shohei Ohtani looming at the top of the market?
Yeah, so I think if anything, 'cause I was the more I've read about this Bregman thing, it sounds like he's in a similar spot to Pete where he's either not accepting his value or he's just being stubborn. But he does not want to, come off his expectation of 6 years, and I get it. Like Bregman is a proven player. He's been the heart and soul of that Astros team that's been so successful. He wants to get paid. I get it. But I could see a situation where he goes somewhere on like one of those Bellinger type deals where it's a 3-year deal with opt outs each year. Um, it's a higher AAV, so he can get paid, and that way he can time when he goes back into the market. Because you may look at next year and be like, "Geez, that's not a great third base market either," because I got X, Y, and Z players that are free agents.
Right.
But it gives him the flexibility to pick when he re-enters the market. I don't know that he's willing to do that, and I don't know that he's going to have to because I think the Tigers are willing to give him the years, just not the AAV. The Red Sox will give him the AAV, just not the years. And the Astros have basically said our first offer is still our only offer. We're not going to negotiate against ourselves.
Right.
And it sounds like he's trying to push the Astros on that original offer. And they're like, dude, we already told you we're not going to go anywhere beyond where we already started. So stop asking, like sign the contract or don't.
Right.
And I feel like this is a situation where somewhere along the line, either he's not hearing Boris or Boris isn't saying it, or he's just not willing to admit you've already seen the best offer you're going to get. Just sign the damn contract and go to spring training.
Yeah. Yeah. John says 4 years, 85 tops. I mean, I think I'm probably around that ballpark too, if not less at this point.
And I
Because the
think
team,
I think it's about where the Red Sox were. The Red Sox are somewhere in that range. I mean, obviously we don't know the offer the Red Sox have made to him, but they were 4 years in that low 20 million range. So maybe it was 4 years, 88. But
right.
that's the range the Red Sox are in. He said no. Like I'm not coming for less than 5 or 6 years. The flip side is the Tigers like, we'll give you 5 or 6 years, but we can't give you 20. We can give you, I think it was 18 or 19 million a year. I mean,
Yeah.
what are we arguing over here, Alex?
Yeah. So what do you if you're Bregman, do you take the years or do you take the AAV?
If I'm Bregman, if I can't get the years, then I'm taking the AAV. And I'm taking a 3-year deal with opt outs, and I'm going to go pick when I get back in the marketplace. So if I have a bomb season this year, and I absolutely light up the scoreboard and the stat sheet, I'm going back in the market next month, next cycle. If I don't, then I'll wait another year and I'll go back in.
Yeah.
But I would want the flexibility to pick when I re-enter.
Yeah. I agree.
But I do think John's comment. It's time to shit or off the pot. Yeah, there's some truth to that.
Right.
I think these guys need to decide. Like, how are you going to die on this hill? Like, are you willing to get into late February or March over a year on your contract?
Yeah.
What's really the holdup? And honestly, for Pete, it might just be the fact he's had options.
Right.
It may not be a matter of signing the contract. It might be, well, I don't have one to sign.
Right. Yeah. Because at this point, like all of these teams with Alonso and Bregman could pull their offers, and they're like, okay, never mind. Like we're good. And then what? You got to start all over again.
Yeah. Or not.
So,
That literally might be
right.
all you got. And now you're sitting at home, twiddling your thumbs, hoping somebody gets hurt and your phone rings.
Yep.
But for a 30-year-old first baseman coming off of a 35 home run season,
Yeah.
he's not in a good spot. And
No.
for Bregman, being the player that he is and is still sitting there with arguably no great options in front of him in his mind, also not a great spot to be in.
No. You made a good point earlier, and I just kind of want to back it up, is the influx of young
Yeah.
talent in the game. Like we've talked about it pretty regularly on the show for the last couple of years, is the amount of young guys coming up and making immediate impacts, I feel like is exponentially bigger than it ever has been in years in baseball history, really. I mean, yeah, you've had guys that have come up at 19, you're Andrew Jones, you're
Sure.
Mickey Mantles, like all the way back there. Like, yes, but it was like, maybe 3 or 4 guys. No, it's like 3 or 4 guys on each team that are doing it
Right.
now.
Right.
Like, so these guys that have been in the league for a while have to be careful when they are negotiating contracts like this, because unless you're Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani or Kyle Tucker, who's coming up, or somebody that's clearly at the top of the league,
Yep.
like you could be out of a job because this guy, like you said, could come in and take your spot for league minimum. Like it is what it is. Like the talent overall coming up is a lot stronger than it has been in years past. And these guys got to be careful when they're negotiating or they're going to be in trouble. Like you said, sitting on the couch.
Yeah. This statement is true everywhere in life. There's always somebody cheaper and younger. That statement is true everywhere in life, whether you work in an office or you're a Major League Baseball player. Like there's always somebody cheaper and younger that would love to take your job. And that's the situation that these guys are all in. And it's a dangerous game. And I think, John, you make a great point. And that's what we're getting into with the Jordan Montgomery reference is if these guys finally get their money and then go out and lay an egg this season, have a bad season, like Jordan Montgomery did last year, like that's not a good look either. Like you held out for that contract. You told teams you were worth it. And then when you don't back it up, it's not a good look.
Right.
And I mean, it was so bad for Jordan Montgomery that the owner called signing him a mistake. And that's the point they were at.
Yeah.
So I think these guys need to get realistic. Spring training starts in 2 weeks. You need to be somewhere. Sitting on your couch in late February is not ideal.
No. All right. Jack Flaherty.
Is he even still out there?
Rumors around that I've read that the Atlanta Braves might be interested because of the loss of Fried. Other than that, I got nothing. I haven't heard a thing about Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, it's been really, really tired. It's been really, really quiet and surprising. I had read earlier today that the Tigers are back in talking to Flaherty.
Yeah, they'd be interested in a reunion.
Yeah, and it sounds like Flaherty's ask has actually come down because, hey, here's a guy who's getting realistic with the fact that, hey, look, like we're getting short on time and I need a place to go pitch. I'd like to get paid this year. So it sounds like Flaherty's actually reduced his ask, and the Tigers are potentially shifting off of Bregman and saying, we're not waiting, forget it.
Yeah.
But we'll go grab Flaherty and grab more pitching because that would, as you've been saying all along, that gives you the number 2 behind Skubal you've been looking for.
Right.
And you had it. And you traded it thinking the season was over, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And you could have used him in the playoffs, but
yeah,
I mean, I think that Flaherty would be a great number 2. And if I'm the Tigers, Alex, I'm out. Like I'm not going to play this game with you anymore. Like we made our offer, you don't want it. Peace out, dude. We're moving on.
Yep. And we can give that contract to Jack Flaherty, who will take it.
Because it sounds like Flaherty's ask has come down because he's getting realistic, and I think he wants to go back to. I think he liked Detroit. What pitcher wouldn't like pitching in Detroit? That ballpark is gigantic,
Right.
and that's like pitching in Yellowstone.
Yep, agree. Yeah, we're with both of you guys, these commenters here.
Yeah.
You're only worth what someone's wanting to pay you, 1,000%. And then, Jacob says, as a business owner, I will pay talent, but I won't pay 3 to 10 times their worth, as you should. Yeah. I mean, it's just not smart business. And that's what they're all running into at this point.
Yeah. And I think to go back to the comment from Mr. Clams about someone's wanting to pay you, like your market value isn't dictated by what Scott Boras says or what Pete Alonso writes down that he wants. The market value is dictated by what is happening in the market and what other teams are willing to pay for your services.
Right.
And that seems to be the disconnect. These 2 guys in particular have a higher value in mind, And when nobody in the market will give that to you, it tells me that you miss the market. Like,
Right.
no different than like when you go to sell a house. If you price the house too high, nobody wants to buy it. You price it right, somebody buys it.
Yeah.
It's the same rules apply in all facets of life. These guys just aren't getting it.
Yeah. Agree. All right. Michael King, talked about him a little bit last week.
Send it.
Padres signed King to 1 year, $7.7 million. Wow, I just completely froze up there. 1 year, $7.75 million contract with a mutual option for 2026. This makes him very, very tradable. And the rumors are flying. Cubs are rumored to have interest in him and Dylan Cease, which you'll also see.
Well, as of
on the
a
next
little
one.
while ago, apparently the Cubs are back out. The asking price is too high.
Okay, well, never mind.
So as of earlier today, or early this afternoon, it sounds like the Cubs are going to look elsewhere because the asking price is too high.
Okay, well then never mind. Scratch that last statement.
Yeah,
But
they were in on him until a few hours ago.
but the Padres still are looking to deal him and Cease. Those names have been floated around pretty consistently here. But yeah, it is what it is. It's trade bait, maybe trade deadline, but the Padres in general are just perplexing to me. Like, I mean, you were close. Like, you almost got to the World Series and you caved. Like,
You had the Dodgers on the ropes, and
yeah, you did.
then
Just
fell apart.
yeah,
And so the latest rumors on King, it sounds like the Red Sox are calling on King. It sounds like the Mets are calling on both King and Cease to find out the asking price. Sounds like the Cubs did, and a step back saying maybe we'll look elsewhere. It doesn't mean they won't come back.
right.
And then interestingly enough, there's an article today too where Michael King and the Padres haven't even discussed an extension because they won't. They have no intention of extending him, which
Yeah.
tells me the Padres are basically just going to let this window of opportunity close.
Yeah.
And then you've got all those big bad contracts that you're going to do what with? Like, are you going to become like a sideshow and just have like a few guys that can hit and a bunch of other guys out there? Like, is this really where the Padres are going to go and what they become?
But good news, Xander Bogaerts has moved back to shortstop.
Fantastic, and you're going to put Jake Cronenworth back at second base. Like you're getting the band back together because
Yeah.
Ha-Seong Kim is gone.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy.
John, I'm with you. Like, I feel like San Diego, this is just the beginning of the end for that organization's window to win, and then it's going to be a dumpster fire. You're going to have 3 big bad contracts out there, egos and personalities. They're not going to win. They're all going to hate it. Everybody's going to be miserable. It's going to be a mess. It's just going to get worse out there if they don't do something.
Yeah. So then just here, kind of within the same conversation here, Dylan Cease, Cubs and Mets have checked in when I, did this, but on the trade radar. But
Yeah, and for the Mets, it makes a ton of sense. Like,
yeah.
go get
And they avoided arbitration with it 13.75 million, I think it was.
Yes. Yep. So and
But
Dylan Cease is a full-on free agent next season. So this is strictly a
Yeah.
1-year rental because there's no way he's not going to test the open market.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this guy's a stud. He goes out, he starts 30 games a year, and gives you great innings. So
Nick, if you're a GM, are you who do you want more, Dylan Cease or Michael King?
am I trading for him now or at the
Trading for
deadline?
him now.
Trading for him now, I would take Cease.
Okay, at the deadline.
At the deadline, I'll probably take King because he probably won't cost me as much at the deadline. And I think it also depends on where my team's at, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like,
What do you need?
right. If I'm a frontline contender, the Padres can ask for more. If I'm like on the cusp, then, it's a bigger chance or lesser chance, I guess, that I'm going to have to sell the farm to get Dylan Cease for a rental. I would take Cease for the full season. I would take Cease at the deadline too, but I would take King more at the deadline because he would probably just come over for a bag of baseballs.
Yeah, the nice thing is you've got the option, so you could hang on to him. He isn't a 3-month rental at the trade deadline.
Right. But yeah, Cease if I'm trading for him now, absolutely. Like get my $13 million worth at the beginning of the season, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Knowing full well he's going to the open market and he's going to get paid.
Yep. All right. Other notable free agents here that we don't know where they're going. Justin Verlander, Alex Verdugo, Kyle Gibson.
Verlander signed with the Giants.
Oh, that's right. My bad. He did.
We were laughing because Buster Posey's younger than him.
That's right. I completely forgot about that. My bad again. All right. So Alex Verdugo, Kyle Gibson, Jose Quintana, and Nick Pivetta. I mean, that Justin Verlander signing was so under the radar that I just completely spaced it out.
Well, it took me a minute. I'm like, wait a second. He actually did sign.
Yep, that's right.
Because,
I
yeah,
completely forgot about that.
It wasn't super noteworthy. And, I mean, you've got some interesting names there. I mean, Jose Quintana was considered to be a really good pitching prospect and then seemed to be turning into a good pitcher and then just kind of fell off the map.
Yeah.
And Nick Pivetta, as Red Sox fans, we've watched him the last few years, and he is so frustrating.
Yeah.
He will be so good, and he'll go out there and go 6, giving up 4 hits and a run, and then the next start he goes 4 and gives up 6 runs and 10 hits.
Yeah.
You just don't know who you're going to get.
Yeah, he's feast or famine.
He's just wildly inconsistent, and he will drive you crazy.
Yep. Alex Verdugo is an interesting one to me because I don't know where he necessarily fits. My initial prediction at the beginning of the offseason was the Astros. But I don't know. I really don't know what his market even looks like.
Yeah. So, I mean, the last I saw, the Astros and the Angels had kind of kicked the tires on Verdugo and ultimately decided no. The Phillies had called. They weren't really that interested. Honestly, a team I thought would make sense where you just lost Jurickson Profar is maybe go to San Diego. He becomes your left fielder. I mean, here's a guy who he's going to have good at bats. He had a really wretched season in New York, and honestly, I think a lot of us predicted that because this is not a guy who's going to fit into that kind of a clubhouse. He's a little bit of a kind of loose, kind of rough around the edges dude. He likes his chains and his hair and his facial hair, and not a guy that wanted to live in that structured world. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
So I still think there's good baseball in Alex Verdugo. We saw it in Boston for years. I think he is a good outfielder. He's going to have to hope somebody will give him a shot as maybe a really late last minute ad or a 4th outfielder somewhere. But I would have thought San Diego would work. The Astros make sense, but if you end up moving Altuve out to the outfield, then you lose that spot. The Angels would be a great chance for him to go somewhere like the Athletics. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could take a flyer on him, and I think somebody will.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll definitely have a job. There's no doubt, but I don't know.
I saw an interview, or not an interview, but there's a clip of a conversation he was having on a podcast, and he's not convinced he's going to have a job this year.
That's crazy.
Because he didn't have a good year and teams aren't calling.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens, man. Guys just like phase out and we don't know where they went. And then you forget that they were in the league, right?
I know,
but it happens.
Like nobody's going to give this guy like even like a minor league contract with a spring training invite, like nothing at all.
Yeah.
I feel like you said, like, I feel like there's going to be something there for him.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Dream Sport, my other KC Royals fan. Of course I remember you.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
All right. Faye Vincent passes away. So MLB commissioner from 89 to 92. Not a ton of time as league commissioner, but he did a lot of things in his short amount of time as commissioner.
He sure did. This guy, talk about walking into baseball with a mission. I mean, so Faye Vincent was only commissioner for a few years. He oversaw the 1990 labor lockout. He actually put the expansion plans in place that brought us the Marlins and Rockies. He banned George Steinbrenner.
Hold on. Pause. Tigers just signed Jack Flaherty 2 years, 35.
Well, there it is.
There it
So
is.
Jack Flaherty's off the list. He's now signed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that
Okay.
makes sense.
Sorry.
He dropped his ask and he's now signed with the Tigers. Look at that. Like we predicted the signing live and then it happened.
2 years, $35 million.
I mean, that's a really good deal. I mean,
Well,
was it 17.5 million a year?
dude, it's a great deal, and you got prospects from the Dodgers because you traded it to them. So you literally
just brought him back for less money
and two
and
prospects.
took their prospects.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, that's beautiful. So back to Fay Vincent. So Fay Vincent came in as commissioner when Bart Giamatti died. He walked into a kind of a storm already because Giamatti had just died. Baseball had problems. He dealt with the earthquake in '89, the lockout in '90. He was the one that banned George Steinbrenner for a few years. He reinforced the ban of Pete Rose, and brought us 2 expansion teams. And then there's also the he got into a bunch of battles with players and owners over other things. He had banned what was his name? I'm trying to find it in the article. He had banned somebody for I can't find it. That's all right. Doesn't matter. But he most well known for picking a fight with George Steinbrenner. That wasn't George Steinbrenner had paid the gambler $40,000 to find dirt on outfielder Dave Winfield. When he left the office, they reinstated Steinbrenner in 1993. But he issued a lifetime ban in '92 to Steve Howe for drug offenses. Howe was reinstated a year later. Like he just dealt with a lot of stuff. Earthquake, lockout, I mean, all kinds of problems in baseball. And then ultimately resigned after a few years to go on and do something different. But I mean, talk about a hell of a span of time.
Yeah, right. It's crazy. Wish somebody would, grab the bull by the horns and do something about the steroid guys in the hall or tackle the Pete Rose debacle, but I don't think we'll ever see that.
No, and what's cool about Fay Vincent, like this is a guy that he was a lawyer in DC. He was associate director with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Like he understood the underpinnings of financial systems and businesses. Chairman of Columbia Pictures, and then one of the vice presidents of Coca-Cola. Like a very decorated business career, and he got into baseball because of Bart Giamatti, who was a friend. And then when Giamatti died, he stepped in and tried to move things forward. But because of the fights he picked, he was basically given a vote of no confidence from the ownership groups and the ownership group around baseball, and he resigned given that feedback. And that's when Bud Selig then stepped in and thankfully saved baseball, Nick.
Don't even get me started. We've been having a good night, Harrison. I don't want to get derailed here.
Yeah, but anyway, so a cool story. If I'll put a couple links to articles in the chat. Very tumultuous time for baseball. He handled a lot of stuff. He also picked a lot of fights. And ultimately that was why he left the commissioner's office.
Yeah. Dang. All right. We are going to move on to a new trivia segment here. So
just love to torch me with new trivia.
I do, Harrison. So here we go. It is MVPs by team since 1990. So you will see the team name. You will see the amount of MVPs they've had since 1990. You have to tell me who the players are. Please help Harrison in the chat.
Please, because there's going to be some of these I totally blank on for sure.
So here we go. First one. California, Anaheim, Angels of Anaheim, 3 players.
All right, so that's Trout.
Trout is 1.
Guerrero?
Guerrero's 2.
And Trout's not the 3rd?
No, I don't count like if they've had multiple. I just count it as 1.
Fair enough. All right. All right, so we got Trout. We got Guerrero. Pujols didn't win one there.
You're missing a pretty obvious one.
I know. I feel like I am. Guerrero, Trout.
Like more recently than Trout.
Oh, Hamilton?
No.
I didn't think so. MVP? Who am I missing in Anaheim?
He won it this year too.
Oh, duh, Ohtani.
Yeah.
I had already moved on to the Dodgers.
Yeah. Yep. Goodness. Yep. So Guerrero, Trout, and Otani. Okay.
So look at that for a second. That
Yep.
was what? 1, 2, 3, that's 6 MVPs.
Since 1990. Yeah.
And honestly, they're all since 2005.
Yep.
And that team's won
And
nothing.
yeah, pretty terrible. All
Oh,
right.
man.
Name all of the Houston Astros MVPs since 1990. There's been 2 of them.
Okay. Since 1990. So you don't have Altuve, Alvarez, Tucker.
It's Altuve. Altuve's one.
Did he win an MVP?
Yes, sir.
Huh. I guess I forget about that. And the other one's got to be older, right?
Yep.
So Astros. So going back a ways. Biggio, Bagwell, Bell.
That's Bagwell.
Bagwell. Okay.
Yep.
I always thought it was Berkman. I'm like, I think it was Bagwell.
Yep.
Okay, back in
Bagwell
90.
94 and
The
Altuve
strike season.
the strike season and the trash can season. So you're welcome.
I forgot Altuve won it in 17.
Yep. All right. Name all the team's MVPs post 1990 for the Oakland Athletics. There's been 4.
Wow. So Tejada,
Tejada is 1.
Chavez didn't win one, right?
Nope.
Let's see. Back in the early 90s, did they sneak like a McGuire in there?
Not a McGuire, but before McGuire. Well, not
Canseco?
before, just right after McGuire. Sorry.
So not Canseco. Just after McGuire.
Like 1990, 1992.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the hell that was. Man, the A's I'm drawing a blank on the A's.
Obviously, Speedster. Giambi is 1. Jason Giambi is definitely 1.
That's right. Giambi did win one.
2000.
He didn't win that in New York. He won that in Oakland.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Giambi and Tejada so far. Chavez was a no.
Speed Demon.
Like Ricky? But
Ricky Henderson. Yep.
Oh, was he the early 90s?
Yep.
I thought he was 80s. Okay. So we got
And
Ricky, Giambi, Tejada. Who am I missing?
it's a pitcher.
It's a pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Starter reliever.
Oh, Eckers? No, not Eckersley.
Eckersley. Yes.
What year did he win it?
92.
Oh, 90. No, 90. Okay, 92. Just barely got in.
Yeah.
I thought he and Ricky were both in the 80s.
Yep. So 90 for Henderson, 92 for Eckersley, 2000 for Giambi, 2002 for Miggy Tejada.
Man, I mean, the 90s feel like so long ago now.
Yeah. All right. Name the only MVP post 1990 for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh boy. So it wasn't Carter, Delgado.
No.
Say Wells. I'm trying to think of guys that were like Donaldson.
It is Donaldson. Nice job. 2015.
That's right. The weird one.
Nice work. All right. Name all the team's MVPs post 1990 for the Atlanta Braves.
Oh boy. So you got Acuna. Let's think. Acuna. Say not Swanson. Did Freddie win one in Atlanta?
And 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right. Freddie and Acuna. Let's see. Are they older now? Are we going back to like the 90s teams?
yep, 90s.
Okay. So let's see who was big on those teams. So I mean, at 90s that wasn't Andrew. It would have been, let's say back in the days that was Chipper.
Yep, number 3. And then the other guy was early 90s, third baseman.
Early 90s, so before Chipper.
Yep. against those Minnesota Twins teams.
Oh, oh my goodness.
He's a switch hitter.
Yep. Oh my God, I can picture him. What is his name?
Short, stocky little dude.
Yeah. I keep going to say Mark Lemke. It's not Lemke. It's
No,
same kind of build.
it is. I'm just gonna give it to you.
Give it to me.
Terry Pendleton.
Oh, Pendleton. Damn.
Yes. So
I can
Pendleton.
picture him.
Yeah, Pendleton 91, Chipper Jones 99, Freeman 2020, and then obviously the 40-70 season for Ronald Acuna
Yep.
Jr. Yeah, John got it. Pendleton
Yep.
in the chat. Nice.
Terry Pendleton. I completely blanked on him.
Yep. All right. Name all the team's MVPs post 1990 for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Did Yelich win one in Milwaukee?
Yes, 2018 has 3 cycle season.
That's right. So Yelich. Fielder? No.
Not Fielder. Same era though. Same team.
Oh, Braun?
Yes, Ryan
Yeah.
Braun. 2011. Good. Name all the team's MVPs post 1990 for the St. Louis Cardinals. There was 2.
Albert?
Albert's one.
Did Edmonds win one?
Nope. Pretty recent.
Pretty recent. So like, I'm trying to think. Recent. Oh, Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt. Yes.
Like 2 years ago.
So Pujols won 3 of them. So,
Yeah.
and then Goldschmidt in 2022, and then the epic fall off for Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of hard to fall off that far in 2 years, you'd think.
Yeah. Name all the team's MVPs post 1990 for the Chicago Cubs.
Sammy didn't win one, did he?
Sammy won 1. Yep. One of those 60 homer seasons.
Oh, right. Sammy. Is the other one in the 90s?
No.
Oh.
2016.
Oh, the World Series team.
And then we haven't heard from him since, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, dear Lord.
He is sort of on the Colorado Rockies right now.
He is sort of on the Colorado Rockies. Oh, Bryant.
Yes, Chris Bryant. Yeah.
I honestly I just forget about Chris Bryant. Like it's been so long since he's been relevant.
Yep. So Sosa won it in 98 and then Bryant in 2016.
That's right.
All right. Name all the team's MVPs post 1990 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. There's 3 of them.
Los Angeles. Well, so Kershaw won one.
Kershaw.
So you got Kershaw, Ohtani.
Ohtani's 2.
Who is the third? So Freddie hasn't won one there. Mookie hasn't won one there. Going back a little. Oh, Bellinger?
Bellinger. Nice.
Right. Belly.
2019. Yeah. 14, 19, and 24. So 5-year increments. Nice work. All right. Name all the team MVPs post 1990 for the San Francisco Giants. 3 of them.
Posey's one of them, right?
Posey is 1.
So Buster. Bonds.
Bonds.
So Buster, Bonds. Who is the other one? It wasn't like a Sandoval or a Crawford.
The only Major League second baseman in Major League history to record 6 straight 100 RBI seasons.
Oh, Kent?
Yes, Jeff Kent.
I always forgot that Kent got one.
So Jeff Kent 2000, Barry Bonds in 93, then 2001, 2004, and then Buster Posey in 2012.
That's wild. The Giants had the MVP winner in 2000, 01, 02, 03, 04.
Yeah.
Like, it's dumb.
Yep.
That award went to a Giant for 5 years.
Yep. All right. Pacific Northwest, get ready.
Oh, boy.
Who are the 2 MVPs post 1990 for the Seattle Mariners?
Boy. Should have been Felix, but that guy got hosed every year. MVP Junior?
Junior.
Who would be the second?
This guy was also Rookie of the Year the same year.
Oh, A-Rod? Oh, no.
Just got inducted.
Yeah, Ichiro.
Ichiro. 97 and 01. All right. Who is the only MVP for the Florida Marlins? I don't really have to say post 1990 because they weren't a franchise before 1990. So
They weren't even around.
who is the only MVP ever for the Florida Miami Marlins?
That is a great question. Who was the only Marlins MVP?
Still current today, but does not play for the Marlins.
So Yelich didn't win one in Florida, did he?
No. He was on the team with Yelich.
I'll say there's so many guys that are on that team. I'm trying to remember who all of them. I'm trying to remember all of them. Who the hell am I not thinking of? Where is he now?
Yankees.
Oh, so not like oh, it's Stanton, duh.
It is
I
Stanton,
was like,
yeah.
it's been so long since Stanton was on the Marlins. I almost
forgot he was there.
I saw a clip the other day of him hitting that home run and that like cleared everything and went out the back of the stadium. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He was a Marlin for a while.
And that's a shot. I've been to that stadium. Like that's a bomb to get it out of those windows in the back. All right. Name the only MVP post 1990 for the Washington Nationals.
All right. So it wasn't Harper.
It is Harper.
Oh, sorry. He won that. It wasn't in Philadelphia. It was in Washington. That's right.
No, it was in 2015. Well, hang on to that thought.
Okay.
All right. Who's the only MVP post 1990 for the Orioles?
Post 1990. So Cal?
Yep, it's Cal. Good. 91.
Yeah, I had to think, was that 80s or 90s? Because that's
yeah.
That was close.
Yep. Name the only MVP for the San Diego Padres post 1990.
My boy Ken Caminiti.
Yep, that's an easy one. That's your boy. All right. Name all 3 MVPs post 1990 for the Philadelphia Phillies.
So did Harper have one in Philadelphia? Was I right?
He does,
okay.
yes.
Okay. So Harper, J. Roll.
Yep, Jimmy Rollins.
Did Howard get one?
Yes, okay. Nice job. Howard and Rollins back to back, 2006, 2007.
Oh, that's right. They were back to back.
Harper in 21. Good. All right. Name all the team's MVPs post 1990 for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I'm genuinely shocked there's any Pirates on this list. I'm now going to rack my brain.
You don't really.
Well, so it's McCutchen, right?
McCutchen's one.
Who was the second?
Don't think too hard about this one either.
I'm totally going to, because I'm like, who was the second? I can't. McCutchen jumps right out, but I'm trying to think of the second.
Think early 90s. And then he like legit blew up.
Oh, that's right. Bonds had one in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he had two in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's right. 91 and 92. Okay.
91, 92, and then McCutchen in 13. All right. Name all 4 of the Texas Rangers MVPs post 1990.
Wow, I have some MVPs. Okay. Did Juan Gone win one?
Juan Gonzalez, the year he hit 180 bajillion RBIs.
Yeah. Did Pudge get one?
Yep, Pudge Rodriguez.
Hamilton, did he win one in Texas?
Hamilton won one.
Okay, we got 3. Who's the 4th? You got. Did A-Rod win one in Texas?
And A-Rod. Nice. Got all 4. Long Gone 96, 98. Rodriguez 99. Rodriguez 2003. Hamilton in 2010.
Wow. I mean, the talent they had in the 90s and early 2000s, and they never got it done.
Oh, freaking David Freese.
I thought that team was going to steamroll them, and they did not.
Oh, no, crazy. Okay, name the 2 MVPs post 1990 for the Cincinnati Reds.
Votto,
our boy Joey Votto.
Our boy Joey, and this other one must be 90s, right?
Yep.
Cincinnati Reds 90s. Is it your boy Chris Sabo? No.
It is not, but it is the guy that plays next to him.
Oh man. Oh. Larkin?
Yes, Barry
Yeah.
Locker. Yeah. 95, Votto 2010. Okay. Here we go. Little Red Sox action. Who are the 3 MVPs post 1990 for the Boston Red Sox?
Oh boy. So you got Mookie in 18.
Yep.
You've got Petey.
Yep.
Who the hell's the third?
In the 90s.
I know. Mo in 95.
Yes, move on. Good. Just dropping stuff over here. Don't mind me.
Say, we good over there?
Yeah, it's all good. All right. Who is the only MVP? Again, kind of like the Marlins, post 1990 for the Colorado Rockies because they weren't a franchise before 1990.
Walker? No, Hilton.
It is Larry Walker.
Was it Walker? Okay. I was like,
Yeah,
I know it's one of those two. I can't remember who.
This is one of the best baseball pictures I've ever seen. The full-on Fu Manchu with these Rockies jerseys is ridiculous. It is so sick.
I remember the days that they had all those mountain-themed jerseys. Oh my lord!
Oh my god, so good. Yeah, not the Green Mountain jerseys that they put out for City Connects.
Those are trash.
Ugh. All right.
Trash.
Name all of the Detroit Tigers MVPs post 1990. There's 2 of them.
Did Mickey get one in Detroit?
Miggy got one in his Triple Crown year.
Oh, that's right. That was in Detroit. All right. So Miggy. So I'm trying to think. I'm running through player. Did Verlander get his in Detroit?
It is Verlander. Yep. Yes, sir. So Verlander 2011 and Miggy in 2012, 2013. So the MVP. Yep, 3 consecutive.
3 years in a row. That's impressive.
Yep. All right. Name the 2 Minnesota Twins post 1990 that won MVPs.
So Mauer.
Yep.
Oh, Mauer and Morneau, right?
Mauer and Morneau. Good.
Right. They with views apart.
06 and 09. Yes, sir. All right. We got 2 more.
All right.
Name the 2 MVPs from the White Sox post 1990.
Konerko?
Nope.
I didn't think so.
Right position for both of them.
Oh, they're both first basemen?
Yes, sir.
So Frank. Say Konerko, Quentin, not a first baseman. Who
the year was 2020.
Another Jose Abreu.
Jose Abreu, yeah.
I just 2020. I don't remember anything about.
Yeah, but another guy with an epic fall off too.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen several of those pop up. Goldschmidt fell off. Abreu fell off.
Yep.
There's a couple more even going further back that you're like, wow, I forgot that guy won an MVP. Chris Bryant, who disappeared.
Right. This last one kind of shocks me a little bit, but name the 2 New York Yankees to win MVPs post 1990. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Just 2.
Yikes. So who Yankees MVPs did? So I'm trying to think. Giambi.
No.
Teixeira. No.
One should be really obvious. Like really obvious. Just won it this year.
Oh yeah, Judge. Judge. Sorry. I had it in my back pocket. I was trying to figure out who the second one was.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah, so Judge. I'm trying to think who the second one was. Is the second one in the 90s?
Early 2000s.
Okay. Did A-Rod get one in New York?
A-Rod, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2005, 2007, and then 2002, 2024 for Aaron Judge.
Well, yeah, it's 2 players, 4 MVPs, but
yeah.
But right. Yeah, it's kind of surprising with all the success the Yankees usually have, and especially in the 90s, that there's no 90s MVPs there, and those teams were so good.
Yeah, agree. Well, I think that's why they don't have any MVPs, because they were just so balanced.
Yeah, there was
time.
There was no easy out in that.
No. So, yeah, that was trivia for this evening. So hope
So
you guys enjoyed that. A little different, but
coming to the chat from Dream Sport. So actually, Kirby Puckett did not win a regular season MVP. Kirby was in the MVP in the top 3 of MVP voting a handful of times, but never actually won one. But he did have an ALCS MVP.
Yeah, I double and triple checked this list because I was like, all right, I got to make sure I have all the years and the math works out between 1990 and 2024, and it did. But yeah, there were some names that I was shocked weren't on the list for sure. But then you see all the guys that have won multiple years, and you're like, okay, well that makes sense. But I was thinking about doing like each team's like all-time MVPs, but I was like, yo, like the Yankees have like 30 something. I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. So I'll just do it since 1990.
Taken forever to try to get
through.
through.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah,
but that was fun.
Kirby Puckett's one of those guys like you felt like he was going to win an MVP, and like every year he'd finish second or third. You're like, how does this guy not get an MVP?
Yeah. All right, we kind of covered this. We're both kind of Red Sox homers. My favorite player of all time is Jason Varitek, and Harrison's is
Ted Williams. I've said it on the show many times. I've read the book on hitting. I've watched as much video as there is available about Ted Williams. Always been a huge Ted Williams guy, but he's my favorite. Like I think he's the all-time best player of all time. My favorite player of all time would be Nomar.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's the best of all. Like, obviously, Varitek's not the best of all time. He's just my most favorite of all time. But because I think the best all-around player ever is Willie Mays, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's fine. You can be wrong. It's allowed.
I'm not wrong. Ted Williams was the best hitter, no doubt. But Willie Mays was the best all-around for sure.
Yeah, so I view Ted Williams as the greatest player. Nomar was my personal favorite. I've actually got a jersey card, all sorts of autograph stuff sitting right behind me. I got Nomar stuff all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a sad day for me when he got traded.
Yeah. It was kind of sad for all of us. And then like watching the documentary and seeing how that all went down, like it wasn't good. It really wasn't.
No, like I remember the interviews like at the picnic tables in spring training where he was kind of like snarky with reporters, and I was like, oh, this isn't going to be good.
Yeah.
And it all stemmed from Millar on the radio. You know, you're going to take Nomar or A-Rod, and he thought the deal was done. So he's like, I'm going to take my teammate. I'm going to take A-Rod, not realizing the deal was about to get blown up. It was a disaster.
Yeah. Well, 04 doesn't happen if that doesn't happen, but
agreed. But we've played clips of Bo Jackson, talked about Bo Jackson. That dude was a human highlight reel.
Yeah.
The throws, the catches, the running up the wall, the running through the wall.
Yeah, all of it.
I mean, oh, for sure. Bo Jackson's got to be one of the top 5 most athletic human beings ever. Like,
yeah,
to play at the level that he did in 2 leagues. I mean, insane.
Yeah,
I mean, Deion Sanders kind of falls in that category too, but Bo Jackson was definitely a better baseball player than Deion was.
Yep, and don't sleep on Dave Winfield. He was drafted by 4 professional leagues coming out of college. He was drafted by the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, and at the time the ABA. So, pretty crazy there.
Yeah, bananas.
But, I mean, I wish I just had like 1% of the athletic ability that those guys had. Just 1%. That's it. But instead, I don't. Just get to sit and talk about it.
And Bo Jackson was like, that dude was everywhere with John, the bow nose. Like the dude was his own brand. Like everybody I knew in high school had like the picture of Bo with like the bat across his shoulder, the pads on.
Oh yeah.
Like that picture was everywhere. Those posters were all over the place.
Yeah, it's insane. Do you have anything else to add for this week?
I mean, it was really a pretty quiet news week across the board. We've got some free, although we had the Jack Flaherty news break right here, so that was nice. But I got a couple of small things for you. So, Barry Larkin, who we just mentioned in this trivia, he's actually joined the Orlando group to help sway expansion or the Rays to come to Orlando. They have, so apparently at this point, the Orlando Dreamers, that's what they're calling them. They've got about $450 million in verbal commitments from potential investors. They're building the war chest to be able to pull this off. And Barry Larkin is joining the crew to obviously put up some cash, but also to give them some baseball credibility as a guy with his cachet around the league. So interesting to see him jump into the fray and start to work for Orlando.
Is he from that area?
I didn't think so, but I don't know for sure. He's from he went to high school in Cincinnati, and he went to Michigan.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I don't think so. I don't think he's got a tie to that area, but
it's just, I was just wondering if he did, because that would make sense.
It would have made a lot more sense than him jumping into the fray for Orlando. But at the same time, it's no different than these players. They jump in and they buy whatever teams are available. So,
right.
I mean, LeBron James is a part owner of the Red Sox. Like, that doesn't make any sense. No tie to Boston, but just there was an opportunity. So, but yeah, so Barry Larkin gives some serious credibility to that group as a baseball guy.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting.
Yeah.
And then, so the San Francisco Chronicle has caused a little bit of a stir because they are referring to the Athletics as the Sacramento Athletics, although the guidelines from the Athletics and the league say they are not a Sacramento franchise. They should be referred to as the Athletics. The San Francisco Chronicle goes, we see through this whole smokescreen. They'll be the Sacramento Athletics in our newspaper. So starting a little bit of a stir there. Just, why not? Got nothing better to do.
I mean, the A's don't need any help in that department. They really don't. They don't need help stirring the pot, but I mean, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. I read the article. I'm like, okay, we have to bring this up. This is funny.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, just a couple of tidbits for you. And it's all, I guess it's also worth mentioning. The Caribbean Series is happening right now.
Yeah.
You can catch kind of clips of it here and there. Incredibly good baseball usually played down there. So something worth following if you're looking for some baseball.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So yeah, nice little quick short one. Hopefully some news picks up. We got spring training starting in 12 days? Our pitchers and catchers report in 12 days. And we're almost there. We're down the home stretch here, fellas. So hang in there.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's coming. We got truck day. We got players soon. There's already players starting to report, which is, you got the early birds. Those early birds are not going to be Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman, for the record, but other people are going to report early because they actually have teams and contracts.
Yeah.
And now Jack Flaherty's got a place to report. Good for him.
Yep. Absolutely. Love that. So, all right. Well, as always, thanks for joining us in the chat. Like, this is why we do this podcast. We love what you guys bring to the show every single week. So please keep coming back like you have been. We absolutely love it. But if you haven't already, please like and follow us on Facebook. You can follow on Instagram. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. Keep your eye out. We are going to be popping on, I think Sunday nights and Thursday nights, I think are going to be our 2 nights a week here as the season gets going on, because, there's usually only one Sunday night game and there's usually only 2 or 3 Thursday night games because those are the travel days. So those are the 2 nights that we're going to kind of pop on. Thursday night might be like whatever game's on. We might be live watching that and just kind of talking baseball about what's going on around the league at the time. So Sunday will be more of a formal show. Thursday will be more of kind of like kick around some topics and stuff like that. So
yeah, which are fun. It's fun to just like chat baseball, take questions and comments from the chat and have a good time. But keep in mind, we'll not be on here next Sunday because some stupid football game or Taylor Swift concert's happening.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll probably pop on Monday night next week. So Monday and Thursday. So just keep your eye out for that. Again, Thanks as always. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. And we'll see you next week, if not Thursday.